Legal services organizations today face a huge challenge in matching the resources that they have available, which are very limited, to the demand for their services. The problem has only gotten worse in recent years. Since 2007, the last year before the recession began, the size of the population eligible to be served at the programs that my organization, the Legal Services Corporation, funds, has grown by 27.5%. In 2007, there were about 51 million Americans eligible for service at our programs. There are now about 64.5 million Americans eligible. And you have to understand how little money you're allowed to make and be eligible for free legal services. The cutoff for people coming into our programs for a family of four is $27,938 a year. Imagine that. Trying to support a family of four on $27,938 a year. If you make a penny more than that, we can't help you. So there's been a particular increase in demand for services in the housing area, people facing foreclosures and evictions. Unfortunately, domestic violence increases when the economy is bad, and we've seen a spike in our domestic violence cases. So the biggest single challenge facing legal services organizations today is the lack of funding. They need more money to be able to hire more people to meet the demand. Last year, in 2010, the legal services organizations that LSC funds actually saw an increase in pro bono involvement. There were more cases handled by more pro bono lawyers than in the prior year. I think that's because even though there was a decline in pro bono hours among big law firms, many of our programs are located outside the big cities where the big law firms are located. And the increased demand has been met in part by solo practitioners, by lawyers in small firms, sometimes by government lawyers jumping in to help out because the need is so great. Pro bono is terribly important to legal services organizations because it's an essential part of trying to close that gap between the demand for services and the limited resources that full-time legal aid lawyers have available to serve the low-income population. It's a critical supplement to the work that the full-time legal aid attorneys do. It will never be a substitute. We will never be able to use fewer legal aid lawyers because we have pro bono lawyers adding to their ranks, but they can sure help reduce the size of that gap. I think there are some interesting ways that law firms and corporate legal departments could assist legal services organizations in ways they haven't thought of before. For example, if they could make their technology departments available to help legal services organizations, I think that would be tremendously useful to them. Most legal aid organizations don't have much in terms of technology or on-site technological resources. The expertise that a law firm or a corporate legal department could bring in that arena would be very, very valuable. Another suggestion is in marketing. Legal services organizations have a story they need to tell. They need to tell it for, among other reasons, for fundraising purposes. They need to be able to explain what it is that a legal aid lawyer does and why it's important. And if they had the professional help of a marketing department from either a law firm or a corporate legal department, I think they could do it much more effectively. And there's something in it for the law firms and the corporate legal departments. They can get people other than their lawyers involved in the effort. Everybody, I think, likes the idea of teaming and getting the entire organization, not just the lawyers, but staff and paralegals involved in pro bono work. And the staff and paralegals in law firms and corporate legal departments are interested in that, looking for opportunities to be able to help out. So I think things like that would be a win-win.